Is Vibe good at transcribing? Let's find out. So, I have these two windows here. I have Vibe and I have WikiQuote. And my favorite quote is on there. So, I'm gonna do a super right for this one. And for the Zen browser, super left. Super is also known as the Windows key for Windows users, and I have no idea what Mac users call it, and I don't care. Alright, so here we go. I am going to hit start record on this. The Vibe Transcriber is based off of OpenAI software. The same company that does ChatGPT and is, for all intents and purposes, owned by Microsoft. Alright, so here we go. We waited until the blast had passed, walked out of the shelter, and then it was extremely solemn. We knew the world would not be the same. A few people laughed, a few people cried, most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and, to impress him, he takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become Death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that, one way or another. So let's see what happens when I hit stop here. And yes, I would like to transcribe that. I like how it gives you an option not to. It might take just a little bit, though. There we go. Almost perfect. It forgot an ED here, but other than that, pretty good. I think this is a great way to take voice notes and enter things with your voice, which is really helpful for me because I broke my wrist. If you're wondering where to get Vibe, though, let me show you here. This username here does not look very promising, but here's the GitHub page, and I'm only to set aside politics to test some good software, and this appears to be it. And reverse engineer it for my political aims. So if you want to install this, click here. It works surprisingly well in an AMD CPU. I'm not sure if it used the iGPU or not. It's hit or miss with that. I know the iGPU works with VAPI, and the Intel one that was in this framework laptop before was not. There is instructions to install on Ubuntu. And I'll also put the command in the description of this video. My first impressions are great so far, but I want to go a bit further and read something a bit longer and see what that does. Let's go to NPR News. I'm just going to read an article out loud and see how much of it is accurate. Here's a good one. And I shall start the recording now. Minnesota Power announced plans to build 2 large-scale solar farms in the next few years in central and northern Minnesota. The Duluth-based utility, which provides electric service to about 150,000 customers in northeastern Minnesota, says the solar projects will be near Royalton and Cohasset. Justin Pierce, Vice President of Strategy and Planning for Minnesota Power, called the projects a key milestone in the utility's shift away from producing electricity by burning coal toward cleaner sources of energy. She said the 2 projects were chosen from several proposals through a competitive bidding process. The utility has not yet released their estimated cost. The 85 megawatt Boswell solar project would cover about 600 acres. It would use existing electric infrastructure at the Boswell Energy Center, a large coal-fired power plant. Minnesota Power plans to stop burning coal at the plant by 2035. I'm also going to add a little side note here. This is the strategy for ending coal in Minnesota, to have solar farms, link them all to where the coal plant used to be, and then decommission the coal plant. The employees at these coal plants, as far as I'm aware, don't have any fear of job loss, so they're on board. And that's how you do that. It would be the latest large solar project built next to a retiring coal plant, following Xcel Energy's Sherco Solar in Becker. The available land around the Boswell Energy Center was a core attribute, Pierce said. It's a long-standing energy community and an energy site, she said. We're looking forward to working with that community in Cohasset to bring this project to life. The 120 megawatt Regal Solar project near Royalton was pitched to state regulators several years ago by an independent power producer and has already gone through the permitting process. It would cover about 800 acres in Benton County and tie into the regional electric grid with a new transmission line and substation. I think the Regal project really has come into its own because it was connecting to our system, Pierce said. It was thoughtfully developed and in a later stage and kind of ready to go. The project will help the utility meet its goal of providing more than 80% renewable energy by 2030, Pierce said. As part of its most recent resource plan approved by state regulators last year, the utility said it would add up to 300 megawatts of regional solar generation and up to 400 megawatts of wind. A Minnesota law passed last year, which is an awesome law and every state should have it, requires utilities to get 100% of their electricity from carbon-free sources by 2040. If you want to accelerate the decarbonization of Minnesota, you could also get an electric car and plug it into this rapidly evolving power grid that is getting cleaner by the day. In July, over 5 million gallons of coal ash wastewater leaked from a pipeline at the Boswell plant, much of it flowing into a nearby lake. Ugh. After the spill, some environmental groups pushed Minnesota Power to retire its coal units sooner. Pierce said Minnesota Power has made an, quote, amazing transition, unquote, from producing about 95% of its electricity from fossil fuels in 2005 to more than 50% renewable energy today. but she said the energy system requires balance to keep it reliable and affordable. The two solar projects require approval by the State Public Utilities Commission. Minnesota Power hopes to have them both operating by mid-2027. And that will be a time after a lot of the culture war stuff will die down. It will be like 2014. Uh yeah, it will be just like that. That's a pretty safe prediction to make. So hit stop recording and I'm going to watch the app explode. Not the most stable way to do that. Let me see what happens if I go up here and relaunch Vibe. Alright, so I do still have the recording. If it crashes, the recording is going to be in documents, apparently. I'm okay with new programs making their own folders in these defaults, just as long as they're clearly marked. That needs to be more of a thing. But I am going to open that and transcribe it. Look, it's got the date time there in ISO. It's just got to load. I'm not sure if this is using the hardware acceleration in the AMD Ryzen 9 with its iGPU or if it's just using the CPU. It's not telling me up front. And it crashed again. I'm noticing a bit of a pattern here. And I just want to see one more time. Let's see what other options we have. Sure, why not? And finally, there's a program that explains to me what these things do. What if I turn the threads up to 6? I don't see what this has to do with transcribing. These other values like temperature, you're trying to get my words verbatim. And maybe if I put a context of 1, let's see what it does now. Just leave the program alone. Cross fingers, hope it doesn't crash. I am telling the kernel to give you more CPU resources, so you better not crash. That's another thing. This has kernel access. There's no flat pack of this that I'm aware of. And I couldn't really find a good transcriber on FlatHub, so here it is. Almost done. There we go. It just looks kind of... This is not how you're supposed to arc. It looks like I made a little oopsie here. No timestamps. I'm gonna do one more transcribes with again with 6 threads, and see if that solves the problem. This is not the best at putting paragraphs together either. It's hit and miss with that. But it did get my sorry. Honestly, I think this is a valid way to help with long stuff like descriptions. Like the keyboard I have right now, it's Dvorak left, so I can use my left hand, and it's pretty comfortable to do that alone. More so than if I was using QWERTY. This hand would be cramping a lot if I did that. And Dvorak left and right are even more of Dvorak's legacy than the simplified keyboard. Like left and right have a real world impact on people who have only one hand or a broken wrist or who dislocate their shoulder. It's very simple. It took me like a few days to get it down. But for long stuff like this, rather than doing 100 words per minute, I would prefer speaking speed 300. And yeah, Minnesota Power hopes to have them both operating by mid 2027. You know what? I think I should turn the temperature up to 0.5, leave the thread count the same, and see if it does a little bit better. Taking my voice and threading it into paragraphs. Paragraphs I actually said. If it's crashing and you have enough threads in your processor, the computer I'm running now has 16. I'm using only 6. It's okay to bump it up a couple. And if you're in a massive rush, go nuts. Use as much computing power as it would to render a video. 10. Because apparently that makes it more stable to use more threads. The only reason I'm not jacking it up to like 10 or 12 right now is because I'm filming. But even while I'm filming, I can add 2 more threads, and this thing works fine. It could do an article in a couple minutes. And you know what? I think this is a valid way to make novels out of. I'm not gonna lie. It would be nice to see AI helping creative workers rather than threatening them. So thank you, White Eagle. You did a really good job with that. But 2027 being this kind of dumb, I'm pretty sure that has more to do with Whisper from OpenAI than White Eagle. It'll still make a few grammar mistakes here and there, but if you just speak your novel and proofread the pages, the chapters, the paragraphs, you're going to get a lot more done in less time. So maybe I will take part in National Novel Writing Month. But I won't do it because of the group. They've stabbed authors in the back with their opinions on AI. But my opinion in using this to make novels, if you're good at telling stories, this is good at turning it into text. And then from there, you just have to read and proofread. Like, if you use AI at all, like if you're using it to make an email, you still have to read it and make sure that the message you're getting is the one you want to send. That said, I don't believe that AI like this will ever replace creative workers. It might accelerate the output a bit, but I don't expect an AI Toy Story to be a box office smash like the first AI generated movie completely. And Lionsgate is going to be facing a lot more financial trouble the more they figure this out. So, with all of that in mind, I appreciate everyone who has watched this all the way to the end. And as always, subscribe if you like, and share if you care. There we go. That's the hand gesture. Subscribe if you like, and share if you okay. I still need to work on it.